My name is Jamelyn Austin Trucks. I am the practice director for our Grants, Resiliency, and Master Planning Group with Atkins Realis. We work with FEMA.
So this is a different pathway to working with FEMA through you.
It is.
How do you work with small businesses?
We really depend on small businesses to be able to deliver under all of those contracts. Small businesses are always who we target in developing relationships to deliver that work.
What are some of the requirements for us to work with someone like yourself?
It is building relationships. It is getting to know the work that our company and others that are in the space that we support on. The certifications, that helps. Oftentimes it's hard to break into the federal space. So key is developing relationships with large.
All right, Jamelyn. So we were just talking outside. We're here in City of Miami at a procurement event, and I noticed that your company helps support City of Miami as well as the state of Florida, doing a lot of great things. So can you just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what it is that you do?
Sure. Well, my name is Jamelyn Austin Trucks. I am actually based in New Orleans. I am the practice director for our Grants, Resiliency, and Master Planning Group with Atkins Realis.
Right.
And as you said, we work closely with the City of Miami and with the state of Florida for a number of agencies within the state, but also with federal agencies.
Okay, and that's what I want to talk about, the federal agencies. That's my audience, that's my channel. So tell us about federal agencies. So now, how do you work with small businesses, or which agencies you work with?
So a lot of our work, especially with the group that I manage and oversee, we work with FEMA.
Okay.
Everybody knows FEMA, right? And for better or for worse, and hopefully in a good way. But also with the DoD and also FHWA, because our work spans from the transportation side as well as kind of lands management planning work, and then of course FEMA is going to be our disaster recovery, but also our floodplain management space as well. And we really depend on small businesses to be able to deliver under all of those contracts, whether it's disaster response itself, where we're in a community where we need that expertise and that knowledge of that community because we're coming in as a federal partner, right? But we need to have that local expertise oftentimes to understand the needs of that community to deliver recovery services, right? So that's key to having those partners that know the people, know how to communicate, understand the needs, and that's really critical for us to be able to deliver. So small businesses are always, who we target in developing relationships to deliver that work.
Now, it's interesting because you said FEMA, and I know a lot of small businesses ask me about, Eric, I want to work with FEMA, I want to work with FEMA. So this is a different pathway to working with FEMA through you. It
is. I think oftentimes it's hard to break into the federal space, and it's hard to be a contractor just listening to the presentation that's ongoing right now. But what's so key is developing relationships with large firms like ourselves that already have those existing long-term relationships, but also being able to leverage kind of niche expertise and specialties that you might be able to bring to the table as a small business that because you specialize in that area, it could be a specialty for planning services. As we talked about communications and outreach, knowing communities in that certain area, in that community, knowing those communities and knowing what their needs are as a communications and outreach firm, right? Those are small businesses that have unique services that we depend on to be able to deliver the work that we need to do.
Right. And now I know that there may be some requirements as a small business. What are some of the requirements for us to work with someone like yourself?
If you're wondering what to do now that Trump is in office, get a free 15-minute assessment call with one of our coaches. Visit govconeric.com/call to sign up today. Get a free diagnostic of what you and your business should be doing in 2025 to start winning. Now that DEI is gone, all the set are being challenged, figure out where are all the opportunities and what you can do under this new administration to win in 2025.
What I always say is, it's great, the certifications, that helps because it's an identifier that oftentimes is asked for. When you're looking at federal grants and federal contracts, they look for those small businesses with the certifications, right? And we look for that as well, so we're meeting those requirements. But in reality, it is building relationships, and it is getting to know the work that our company and others that are in the space that we support on, understanding our work and understanding how you can be of value to that work, and then going to the conferences, being here, introducing yourself, making sure that you're building relationships. But then once you get in the door and you get on a contract, you maintain communication, you maintain working, reaching out and saying, hey, we've got new people on board, we've got these additional services, or hey, let us tell you about something else we're working on right now that might be of value to this contract that we're on with you right now. It's maintaining that ongoing communication, but it's also, once you get the work, to deliver it, and to deliver it at the highest quality possible, because that is where you're building that trust and you become a trusted partner. And then that next opportunity presents itself, and then suddenly you're on board, right? And then we're reaching out to you and saying, hey, we want you on this next team or this next contract, right? And it's building trust, and it's that, getting your foot in the door, but then it's building, you've got to maintain that relationship and then build the trust, and then hopefully establish a long-term relationship.
It's first of all, I'm happy that I came to this event, because I was not expecting to find anyone in federal at this local city event. So this is great. And thank you, Alejandro, for introducing us. But nevertheless, where would someone else go to meet your company? Like, what other type of events do you attend that we might bump into you at?
Well, I was just most recently in New Orleans, the Society of Military Engineers, SAMI, for small businesses. It was specifically the Small Businesses Conference, so the majority of the attendees there were there to connect with firms like ours. I believe there was literally close to 6,000 attendees. It was a very, very large conference, and took over a large portion of our convention center, and that's a perfect opportunity. And SAMI has, they have events all over the country throughout the year, but that particular conference is one that recently we went to and did make some great introductions and meeting some of, potentially new partners as well there.
You mentioned certain areas. Are there any other type of areas that, for example, if I'm a truck driver, if I have a box trucks or anything like that, I know people think about disaster relief, they think about like the cleanup work. That's typically like what I hear from people, right? Is that an area that you're into, or is that not something that you're doing?
It's not.
Okay.
But there are a lot of firms that do, and they specialize in what you call debris.
Okay, sure.
Debris management. And there are firms that they're wonderful at what they do, and they're fantastic. And it's one of those, hey, there's great people doing this work. There's no reason for us to enter that space. We're more of the strategic planning, long-term partner, and then the grants oversight, monitoring, and ensuring compliance with programs, the various federal programs through HUD's, also the CDBG programs, community development block grant funding. We also, we support on that as well with HUD, and more really at the state and local level, because typically those are block grants. And as the name would imply. And so therefore you're working more either the state at the local level, but it's federal funds. So you're still working with federal funding compliance. So I think we don't per se, but the services that we are in, fall more into that space.
And I'm sure everyone could go on your website and find all that information out.
They could, absolutely.
And that's what we want to do. We want to provide people the information so they can have a place to start, because a lot of times you don't even know where to start looking for this stuff. So this is very helpful for the community. Is there anything else that you want to share with the small business community out there when they're watching this?
I know. It's a pleasure to be here. It was a pleasure to be asked by the city of Miami. We've had a great relationship working with them for the ARPA program over the last almost 3-4 years, right? And I think, it's a great opportunity for me to finally get to meet everyone. I haven't had that opportunity until today with the city that I've been working so closely with, along with Alejandro. So thanks for that, and looking forward to hearing what the rest of the speakers have over the next, today and tomorrow.
Wow. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thanks.